Dear students, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am Manzur Ahmed, lecturer history. Our today's topic for 12th class students of history subject is how did Zamindars manage to retain control over their Zamindaris? Dear students, in this question, we have to explain how Zamindars during the British rule in India were able to manage or keep control over their Zamindaris. Zamindaris means the huge areas of land which were under their control, under the control of Zamindars. So, before answering this question, dear students, we need to know that Britishers, the British who were ruling over India, their primary purpose always was to have more and more economic benefits from India, which we have discussed in earlier lectures as well. And with the purpose to get more and more land revenue from the peasants who were cultivating different crops in the agricultural fields in India, the Britishers followed various policies to collect more and more land revenue from the people from time to time, from the peasants from time to time. One of the important policies which Britishers followed to collect land revenue from the peasants was the Zamindari system. And what was done in the system? An influential class, some aristocratic and influential people were given the ownership of huge areas of land by the British officers, by the Britishers, and these influential or aristocratic people who were given control, who were given ownership of huge areas of land were known as Zamindars. And these Zamindars were given the ownership of the huge areas of land and were given the responsibility and right to collect land revenue from the peasants who were doing agricultural activities in that vast area of land. And after collecting land revenue from the people, that land revenue was to be deposited to the British government, and the Zamindar had to keep a small percentage of the land revenue as his commission. So, dear students, between the British government and the peasant, the Zamindar acted as an agent. The Zamindar took land revenue from the people. Zamindar was given the ownership of the land, ownership of the agricultural lands, and was given the responsibility to collect land revenue from the peasants and give that land revenue to the British government. So Zamindar was an agent, therefore, between the peasant and the British government. And therefore, with the passage of time, we understand sometimes the Zamindars were not able to pay the desired land revenue to the government. If, for example, if the demand of the British government from a Zamindar was to collect 100 tons of land revenue from the peasants, the Zamindar was only able to collect 50 tons of land revenue from the peasants. Or sometimes the Zamindar was able to collect even less amount of land revenue from the peasants. In such cases, when Zamindar was not able to collect a desired amount of land revenue, desired quantity of land revenue from the peasants, in such cases, the Zamindari means the ownership of the vast area which was given to the Zamindar, the ownership of that land, they was snatched from him. Snatched from the Zamindar, and this Zamindar was given to someone else. It is believed that, however, that despite the Zamindars were not able to pay desired land revenue to the government, to the British government, even then the Zamindars were able to maintain control over their Zamindaris, means vast areas of land which were given under their ownership. So how was it possible that when Zamindars were not able to pay desired land revenue after collecting that from the peasants to the British government, and they were not able to collect the desired land revenue, how then they were able to even then manage control over their Zamindaris, over their vast areas of land which are under their control? So this is the question that we have to answer here. Dear students, Zamindars devised various strategies to retain control over their Zamindaris, over the vast areas of land, despite not being able to pay land revenue as per the demands of the British government. One strategy which they adopted was that, which this Zamindars adopted was that, as per the decisions of the East India Company, British East India Company, basically the British East India Company was the company which was which was ruling over India on the behalf of the British government. And as per the decisions of the British East India Company, the property of a woman could not be snatched, could not be taken over. So, when the Zamindars were given ownership rights of the land of a vast area of land in a particular area, at the same time, the Zamindars used to transfer some part of their Zamindari in the name of their mother or any other female member of the family, because by transferring the ownership of the land in the name of his mother, in the name of his sister, or in the name of his daughter, or any other female member of his family, the British government would not be able to, we can say, snatch Zamindari from him, the land estate from him, because it was given by Zamindar in the ownership of the female. And as per the British law itself, the Zamindari of the females were not to be taken over, were not to be snatched. Number 2, sometimes Zamindars deliberately kept with themselves some amount of land revenue to be paid to the British government. Means, when Zamindars used to collect land revenue from the people, from the peasants, sometimes the amount of land revenue which they collected from the people, they did not pay all to the government, but kept some portion of that land revenue deliberately with themselves and paid only a portion of that to the government, to the British government. As a result, because when the Zamindar was not able to pay desired amount of land revenue, as a result, the company auctioned. The company was auctioning a part of the estate of the Zamindar who was not able to pay the desired land revenue. And Zamindars, but at the time of auction, when the auction of the some part of the land estate was made of the Zamindar, at the time of auction, the Zamindar used to put his own agent in the bidding process before the government. And at always when the auction was done of that part of the Zamindar who was not able to pay land into the government, in the auction, the agent of the Zamindar who was put in there by the Zamindar, that agent used to always give the highest bid, highest auction. And after giving highest auction, the Zamindar was transferred to him. But when the Zamindar was transferred to him, he refused to pay then the land revenue. Therefore, the auction was repeated once again. So the repeated auctions, this exhausted the British government, and this was an exhaustive practice on the part of the British government. Hence, the company at last sold the same estate to the same Zamindar from which it had been snatched earlier at the first stage, and it was given to the same Zamindar to the same Zamindar at a lower price, at a lower land revenue demand. Number 3, sometimes a new Zamindar or new buyer was successful in purchasing a Zamindari. Means, at some times when Zamindari was snatched from a Zamindar because of non-payment of land revenue or non-payment of desired land revenue from him, sometimes it was some other Zamindar was successful in auctioning or taking over the control of the Zamindari of the Zamindar who was not able to pay the desired land revenue to the government. In such a situation, the Lathialas, who are Lathialas? These Lathialas are basically, we can say, were the peasants who held lathis and sticks in their hands and functioned as protectors of the Zamindar in the land estate. Means, the peasants and cultivators who used to cultivate the land in the agricultural lands of the Zamindar, of the great Zamindar. Then when some other Zamindar used to come in that area after auctioning, then these Lathialas, they used to beat them, they used to thrash them and forced them to flee from that area. Thus, in this case as well, the Zamindari remained with the earlier Zamindar. Number 4, sometimes the cultivators did not allow a new buyer or new Zamindar in their land. This was so because they considered the old Zamindar as their bread giver. Thus, they considered themselves his part and remained loyal to the old Zamindar time and again. So these were some important practices or strategies that were adopted by Zamindars to keep the Zamindaris under their control despite not being able to pay desired land revenue to the British government from time to time. Thank you.